I feel like I'm blurry back here, but I like it. Hey y'all, it's Regina or Gina, and welcome back. As you're beginning to see, I really like exploring identity, style, and the ways that we present to ourselves and our world. This normally looks like me spending way too much time in thrift stores, yet I've been like low-key exploring different runway collections, detail picks from different fashion weeks, and I'm slowly getting into fashion brands or fashion houses. So as like an amateur fashion beginner, I thought it'd be interesting to explore spring summer 2018 trends with y'all, and specifically talk about or share how I think about these trends as someone who mainly shops at thrift stores, as someone who plays with androgyny, and as someone who as like the biggest thing, copes with a lot of body dysphoria. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump in. As one of perhaps like the first unsurprising trends that I noticed were pastels. What I was surprised by was that they have been called sorbet colors, which I thought was super yummy sounding. Furthermore, as this year's Pantene color of the year is ultraviolet, lavender paired with that is especially making like a really big splash. I think the Victoria Beckham collection is hands down like my favorite when it comes to lavender or pastels. With contrast, I really liked how it paired really flowy materials with like the typical structure of collared shirts and suits. And I think overall with the pastels it added like a little bit of androgyny and ambiguity, which I was really into. After looking at this collection, I started thinking more about sort of creating some some depth in a potential look with pastels. I guess my first thought were like complementary colors. I thought I'm gonna say his name super weird, Dries van Noten. I thought his menswear collection did a really cool job of pairing complementary colors with pastels. And going a little further than that, I've heard and noticed that different punk elements have also emerged in the past season, incorporating punk elements like faux leather or metal, or more ones that I don't know about. I thought that would be a really cool way to toughen up really soft pastels and again add some cool contrast. For me, I ended up simply thrifting a pastel sweater, but it's actually now like one of my favorites. What I liked about it especially was that when I first got it, I couldn't tell if it was a tint or a shade, which means I couldn't tell if there were like lighter elements or darker elements added to it. I like that there's this like gray ambiguity incorporated in pastels, which is such a established and again like a classic spring trend. Dad shoes. They're appearing like across different collections. I think Louis Vuitton came out with some dad shoes. There's some like Balenciaga ones that people are like really into. I honestly feel pretty mixed about this trend, but I think I saw a fashion writer sum up how I feel about it. I really like the trend as like a resurgence of like 90s and early 2000s nostalgia, and I really like the functionality of it. I'm not sure if I'm so into fashion houses putting them out, because it just feels like it's cool that they're like playing with it as a trend, but it also, I feel like it sort of contrasts like the down-to-earth functionality of it. As a really distinct pattern, I noticed checkered and houndstooth prints all across collections. I noticed houndstooth specifically a lot, I think because it was like a surprising carryover from the fall, or from like fall winter. It surprised me how much I really liked houndstooth, and I think it's because it pulls in like that ambivalence that I really like, and that like the pattern specifically sort of blurs together, like the white and dark elements blur together, and it makes it a little more indistinct. With that in mind, I think as like someone who copes with body dysphoria, with really distinct patterns, it makes it very like accessible and a little more wearable. I thought that a compassionate way to incorporate this trend would be to layer it under something. So layer it under a sweater. I layered it under the pastel sweater that I showed you. Yet I think I didn't realize that like pairing like a really distinct pattern that I don't really wear very often with a really distinct color that I don't wear very often would just feel very weird for me. So I felt a lot of discomfort actually with like this look, but I think the concept is still very cool, maybe for other people. Plastic. Chanel really came through on that plastic trend in their collection. Part of me really likes it. I think again it adds like a really cool layer to pieces, and it allows you to like showcase different layers underneath it. I strangely liked how it looked with the Balmain
French luxury brand
collection, where it appeared as like high-waisted pants over like a bodysuit. And then my favorite was how it appeared in like shoes, paired with like a really like classic black heel. I thought that was really cool. The contrast to that is like, I don't know if y'all watched like Sophia's videos where she like tried to do like the plastic pants trend, and she was sweating so much.
You have to air them out.
And I think that's like what just goes over like me being interested in it. It's just like how much people are sweating in it. So though this trend seems to be like a little more low-key compared to like other really sensationalized trends, I thought it would be really cool to try to play with, and they're black and white polka dots. So I ended up picking up this collared shirt. I think, as I've mentioned before, what I really like about it is that the black is the dominant feature in the pattern, and so for me it makes it a little more subdued and a little more wearable. With that in mind, I really do like how black and white polka dots have emerged across collections, especially when it's paired with like really vibrant color, like really vibrant jewel tones, especially on other people. As another way to add depth to looks, I noticed controlled transparency all across collections. I thought specifically Dolce & Gabbana really embraced that trend, and with more specificity, Miu Miu incorporated controlled transparency with slip dresses, and I thought that added a really cool and subtle layer to the look. For me, I've been really eyeing this sheer white top for a while. Because the pattern and sheer material are so stand out, I paired it with neutrals and just simple jeans. Yet I think it would look pretty cool like buttoned all the way up like this with like tucked into pants. I think it's just such a cool twist on your classic like white button up in a way that is still like very subtle and very formal, but is really interesting. Yeah. Overall, I really explored and learned so much about what spring can look like for me, and I think it can be summed up actually in an article that I found. And the author says, when taking in the color, glitter, and glam contrasted with the cavernous, darker elements and this is like the Gucci collection, there's a melancholy, a dissonance, and noise that perhaps is an accurate reflection of the way the contemporary world feels too. And I think that the idea of pairing like such like bright classic elements of spring with some like more ambivalent, some murkier elements is something that I really want to play with, and something that I really want to explore as I like continue like styling during spring. And I think especially as someone who lives with depression, that take on spring really resonated with me. I think that's it. Please let me know if there's any trends that I missed that you're like, I'm really into this, or this is really strange to me. Let me know if there's any looks that you liked, and yeah, let me know what you think overall of the spring summer 2018 collection or the collections that have emerged since. If you really like this video, please feel free to give it a like. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!